Have you ever felt like the Mona Lisa is watching you? No matter where you stand, her eyes seem to follow. You move to the left, she's looking. You shift to the right, still staring. It's as if she knows something we don't. An eerie, almost supernatural effect. But what if I told you it's not magic at all? This phenomenon, often called the Mona Lisa effect, has intrigued scientists, artists, and everyday people for centuries. But how does it work? And why does it make us feel like we're being watched? Today, we're diving deep into the science, psychology, and artistic genius behind one of the most mysterious aspects of the world's most famous painting. To understand why the Mona Lisa seems to follow you, we first have to understand how Leonardo da Vinci painted her. His technique wasn't just about making things look pretty. He was playing with light, shadow, and human perception in a way that was far ahead of his time. Leonardo was obsessed with understanding the world in minute detail. His notebooks are filled with studies of human anatomy, physics, and optics, how light interacts with objects, and how the human eye perceives depth. He wasn't just a painter, he was a scientist. And the Mona Lisa is a perfect example of how he merged science with art. Let's break it down. In most paintings, the direction of the subject's gaze is fixed. If you move to the side, the illusion of depth changes, and it becomes clear they're looking at a specific point in space. But the Mona Lisa is different. Look closely at her pupils. They aren't staring directly forward, but slightly to the right of the viewer. Normally, this would mean that she's looking past you, but here's where things get interesting. When we look at a flat painting, we expect changes in perspective when we move. But Leonardo's masterful use of sfumato, a painting technique where colors and tones blend seamlessly, prevents this from happening. The soft shadows and subtle blending remove any harsh edges that would normally give away depth cues. So, no matter where you stand, the relationship between Mona Lisa's eyes and the rest of the image stays the same. Your brain interprets this as her gaze following you. It's an illusion, one that works because of the way our eyes and brains process images. Scientists have been fascinated by the Mona Lisa effect for years. A team of researchers even conducted experiments using eye-tracking technology to see how people perceive it. They found that most viewers experience the illusion, but interestingly, the effect is stronger when the subject's gaze is slightly off-center, rather than staring directly forward. Why? Because when a subject in an image looks directly at the viewer, it creates a different psychological effect. It's engaging, but it doesn't trick the brain in the same way. When the eyes are just slightly to the side, it creates a sense of ambiguity. Your brain doesn't know for sure whether she's looking at you or past you, so it assumes she's always looking. And it's not just the Mona Lisa. Many portraits throughout history have unintentionally or intentionally used the same trick. From Renaissance paintings to modern advertisements, this effect has been used to create a sense of intimacy and engagement. Think about movie posters. Have you ever noticed how many feature the main character staring right at you? That's no accident. Filmmakers and marketers use this effect to make you feel connected to the subject. Even in video games and virtual reality, developers use similar techniques to make characters feel more lifelike and responsive. So why does this illusion feel so unsettling? There's a deep-rooted psychological reason for this. Human beings are wired to be highly sensitive to eye contact. In social situations, direct gaze is a powerful signal. It can mean attention, dominance, or even threat. Our brains have evolved to notice when eyes are on us. Even if we know we're looking at a painting, part of our brain still reacts as if we're being watched. This is why the Mona Lisa's gaze doesn't just intrigue people, it affects them. Some scientists believe this could be linked to an evolutionary survival mechanism. In the wild, being watched usually meant you were being hunted. So our brains developed an ability to sense when someone or something might be looking at us. That instinct still lingers today, making the Mona Lisa's gaze feel just a little too real. Did Leonardo da Vinci know what he was doing? Here's the big question. Did da Vinci intentionally create this effect? The answer is probably. While he might not have known the exact neuroscience behind it, Leonardo was a master observer of nature and human perception. He understood how light, shadow, and form could trick the eye into seeing depth where there was none. His notebooks contain detailed studies on the way light interacts with curved surfaces, like the human eye. He experimented with subtle gradations of tone to create depth without using harsh lines, a technique that would later influence countless artists. And it worked. Over 500 years later, people still flock to the Louvre just to experience that mysterious, all-knowing gaze. Today, the same principles behind the Mona Lisa effect are being used in cutting-edge technology. Eye-tracking software and virtual reality, AI-generated art, and even facial recognition systems all rely on understanding how we perceive gaze and depth. Think about virtual assistants or CGI characters in movies. When they seem to make eye contact with you, it makes them feel more real, more engaging. That's no coincidence. Even in digital art, designers use similar shading techniques to create the illusion of depth and movement. The Mona Lisa effect is no longer just a quirk of classical painting. It's shaping the future of visual media. So the next time you see the Mona Lisa, or any portrait that seems to be watching you, remember, it's not magic. It's science. It's psychology. And above all, it's a testament to Leonardo da Vinci's genius. Even after 5 centuries, his work continues to captivate us, not just because of her smile, but because of the way she sees us.